You guys ready? Me too. My name is Randy Tischler, and I'd like to welcome you to the 5th Annual Mike Wieringo Comic Book Industry Awards, coming to you live and in person. This year, thanks to the help of the Comic Corps and word balloon folks that helped us create the virtual stream. You have to be at the show to understand that reference. Helped us create the virtual event last year. We're both live streaming to a number of outlets and enabling some of those that could not be with us physically to participate virtually. I'd like to take a moment to name drop Johnny Rose, who helped us behind the camera last year when we broadcast from the Previews World news desk at Diamond International Gallery Sapphire Studios. As soon as we ended the stream, I realized I had not taken a moment to thank him. We really appreciated his assistance. Our jury chose from works from publishers, submissions, and comics and graphic novels they liked from their own reading. Combine that with the public's vote, and you get our final ballot. While not everybody will win their category, being selected for nomination is an accomplishment. Diamond Comics distributors alone sent out 9,454 comics and 4,134 original graphic novels and trade paperbacks in 2020, which doesn't take into consideration alternate distribution channels, self-publishers and crowdfunders, or the vast field that is webcomics. If you see something listed here, it means that either the jury or the public felt it was worth putting on the ballot more than something else. If you haven't already, go check out these creators and the titles. Bear with me as I take a moment to thank everybody that helped make the Ringos happen this year. I'd like to thank and recognize a number of staff people to begin with. Steve Conley for the graphics and webmastery. John Gallagher for the program and the presentation you're watching on the screen. Josh Gold for the awards that we'll be handing out tonight. David Jeffrey is responsible for the sponsorships as well as the entire banquet you're enjoying tonight. Matt Merritt has the onerous task, and I do this every year, but I want to recognize him. He goes through all of the nomination ballots, which includes all of the public votes, and it is a whole lot of ballots to go through. So we really appreciate his diligence in going through that. Mark Nathan, our fearless leader, and Chad Ramsden, JD, and John Suntris, the virtual production team. I'd like to recognize the jury from this year: Amy Dallin, Dr. Katie Monin, John Suntris, Steenz, and Brian Stelfreeze. They had a lot of books to read, and I think we really crowded their living space. Thanks to the perennial jurors, as always, Todd Dezago, Craig Rousseau, Mark Wade, and Matt Wieringo. The jurors read submissions from over 45 publishers of all sizes, from self-publishers to very large publishers, both print and webcomics. It was an amazing set of submissions, and there was no shortage of works that were worthy of recognition beyond what you see on the final ballot. But for the sake of sanity, the line must be drawn. But great stuff this year as always. Thank you to our presenters, Jason Douglas, Steenz, Christopher Priest, John Gallagher, Jamar Nicholas, Todd Dezago, Craig Rousseau, Matt Wieringo, Leanne Krecic, Dean Haspiel, Michael Sun, Amy Reeder, Alt Baltazar, Tom King, and Mitch Gerads. And very important, a huge thanks to our sponsors, the Baltimore Comic-Con and Cards, Comics, and Collectibles, Boom Studios, Tapas Media, Webtoon, SourcePoint Press, Rocket Ship Entertainment, Geeky Love, Scholastic Graphics, some of them are in the room, Scholastic Graphics, Jeppy Family Entertainment, Heavy Metal, and Valiant Entertainment, as well as our gift bag sponsors, Abrams Books, Boom Studios, Diamond Select Toys, Gemstone, Heavy Metal, Image Comics, Rocket Ship Entertainment, Scholastic, SourcePoint Press, and Valiant Entertainment. A quick administrative note that Bruce would bat me about the head and neck area if I didn't say this every year. For those of you coming on stage, please come on this side. And when you are done, please exit this side. Bruce is going to take photos of all the winners and presenters. And you'll see those pictures online. So thanks very much, Bruce. And with those recognitions out of the way, please put your hands together for our keynote speaker, Aftershock Comics Vice President of Sales and Marketing and industry vet, Steve Rotterdam.
Everybody, it's good seeing you all. I don't know about you, this is the first time I've worn a suit in about 2 years. Actually, it's the first time I've worn pants in about 2 years, so it's kind of nice. And being that most of what, and I think some of you can relate to this, so much of what we do on a daily basis these days is done by Zoom, it is wonderful to see you all from the waist down. Especially you, John. All right. Thank you, Randy. And thank you, Mark and Shelley, and everyone associated with Baltimore Comic-Con. Thank you, friends, guests, and nominees of the Ringo Comic Book Industry Awards. Now, I know what many of you are thinking about right now. Those who know me well and have been at meetings where I've been asked to speak are probably thinking, oh no, we're going to be here until midnight. My crab cakes are going to get cold. Well, have no fear. I've got a script and I'm sticking to it. The rest of you are probably thinking, who the hell is this guy? Did someone die? Couldn't they get anyone else? I know that because that's exactly what I thought when Mark called me and asked me to do this. I mean, I never knew Mike Wieringo personally. Well, that doesn't matter, said Mark. What could I say that would matter to the people in this room? You'll think of something, said Mark. Tell that story of how you met Neil Adams when you were 13 and asked him to draw dirty pictures of Lorna Dane. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell that story. Maybe later. And he said, yeah, come on, it'll be good for your career. And I said, what career? I'm in comics. I'm not going anywhere. And that's what I'd really like to focus my remarks on this evening. Everyone in this room has just come through the most unanticipated, unpredictable, and unprecedented period in our lives. And we're not out of the woods yet. But the world is different. This business is different. The supply chain is broken. It'll get fixed. But when? And at what cost? We know there will be casualties at the shop level, at the fan level, at the publisher level, and at the creator level. Are we ready for that? Can one ever be ready for that? The distribution landscape is insane. It's like an entire deck of 52 cards have been thrown up in the air and only 2 have managed to land so far. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the atmosphere. Oh, and please be sure to hold on to your programs and napkins after the dinner. We're going to have to collect them at the end of the night and recycle them so that DC can get the latest issue of Mr. Miracle out. Whatever substrate works. All along the way over the last 18 to 19 months, amidst all this mishigas, exit points have made themselves evident to each of us. This is your chance, State Flash. The plane's on fire. You know that parachute you've been holding on to? This is the time to bail out. But very few of us did. For whatever reason, and there are thousands of reasons, we stayed. We're still here. We're in comics. Less like a career than it is a calling. We're not going anywhere. But though we're not going anywhere, we're not sitting still. The evidence of that can perhaps best be seen and felt in the variety, quality, originality, and inventiveness of the works and creators nominated and celebrated here tonight. From where I sit, comics past, present, and future is in good hands. From where I sit tonight at the table that I'm sitting at, I'm overwhelmed with how positive the future looks. As varied, diverse, introspective, and enthusiastic a set of hands as they've ever been. A few years before Paul Levitz asked me to join his team at what would turn out to be the last official phase of his career as president and publisher at DC Comics, my marketing firm was working with a number of entertainment companies to create partnerships between brands within film studios and brands that had absolutely nothing to do with film studios. One of my clients was the retail division of Warner Brothers Consumer Products. We were working on ways to integrate members of the Justice League into Walmart. I admit that. You know, something like Aquaman representing sustainable fish, Walmart's commitment to sustainable salmon fishing. And I kid you not. Batman sort of representing the automotive sections at Walmarts across the country. Flash being used, to symbolize express checkout, which was new at that time. Yeah, really. You should crucify me now. One afternoon, I received a phone call from a member of the Warner Brothers team who asked me if there were any characters of Hispanic origin in the DC Comics universe. Warner Brothers calling me, asking if DC had any Hispanic characters. This was mid-2000s. The term Latinx was not in vogue. So I said to them that there was this character called Vibe. He was from Puerto Rico. Everybody hated him. And they killed him off, so I don't recommend him. And then there's this character called Fire. Now, she's from Brazil, so I'm not sure she technically identifies as Hispanic. Plus, whenever she's on fire, a green fire, mind you, she's essentially naked. So after a few more minutes of discussion, my Warner Brothers client says to me, "Why do you know all that?" To which I responded, "Why don't you?" Whoops, see, I wrote it all down. That's the broader world we still find ourselves in, although there has been improvement. But I'm so grateful that this awards program, the Ringos, lives and breathes at the core of comics. I'm so grateful that we don't offer an award for best IP or best exploitation and application of a comic book property to an instant ramen cup or best Happy Meal. I can argue the merits and demerits of all of that noise, but not here, not in Baltimore, not at the Ringos. For those of us into whose hands responsibility for the works of those who came before has fallen, continue to guard those legacies with your creative lives. for those of us creating, promoting, and marketing new works, new stories, new ways of conveying history, new ways to entertain and encourage children, new ways to fight for and achieve representation and justice, while you will always be your own best advocate. Challenge the rest of us in this community to broaden our horizons, expand our visions, step out of our comfort zones, and work to make a difference. As I said earlier, I never knew Mike Wieringo personally, but I knew his work. I was and remain a fan. During a period without strict dictums to serve an overriding corporate mandate, Mike, together with Mark Waid and others, reimagined, reinvented, and ultimately set in motion a bold new era for the Flash, one that moved forward into the new without turning its back on what came before. The dynamism that Mike brought to renditions of Wally and Jay, the sage wisdom of Max Mercury, the introduction of Impulse, and all their stories still resonates and has worked its way into the countless renditions of the characters we find ourselves surrounded by today. Mike's work stressed movement, stressed moving forward. We're in comics. We are comics. And while we're not going anywhere, let's continue to move forward, ever forward. Thank you. Enjoy your dessert.
Thank you, Steve. That was great. Those of you in the room looking at your program guides will note that Carl Kessel was supposed to be one of the presenters, and as is the theme of this year, which some of the attendees that were waiting in line today may not have got the memo, we have to adjust and adapt, and there was a COVID potential scenario in his daughter's school, and he had to cancel his appearance. So, with that said and that out of the way, please welcome to the stage Ringo nominees, Jason Douglas and 2021 Ringo juror, Steenz.
All right. Hello. How's everyone? Good. I like it. Excellent. So my name is Steenz. I am a cartoonist and editor and professor and not just a triple threat in life, but also here, got judge, presenter, and nominee. So I think I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be presenting some of the awards tonight along with my great co-presenter here, Jason. I'll let him introduce himself.
I am suffering from a little bit of inferiority complex because I am only a double hyphenate. My name is Jason Douglas, and I am very honored to be here tonight, not only as a two-time nominee for my very first book, Parallel from Source Point Press, but because this is a pretty intimidating room to be in with a lot of people who I consider my heroes, and now I'm supposed to consider my peers. It's a tradition on this stage, my understanding, to share an interesting Mike story if you've got it. Mine's a little atypical. I, like some of you, never got the honor to meet Mike, but Mike has been with me, and we go back a long way. I did not come out of the ether as a fully formed 40-plus-year-old author out of nowhere. I've been a public school teacher for the last 22 years. Thank you. And my first 13 years I spent in elementary school. And the moment I walked in there at basically the turn of the century, I had a problem. It broke my heart from day one, and that was the issue of kids who became reluctant readers because they were below grade level readers, and the stigma and the shame attached with being so. And I didn't see a solution, and I banged my head against that problem for a couple of years until I realized that the solution to the problem was right in front of me. Okay? You could walk around my classroom, my third graders and my fourth graders in those years, and literally during silent reading time, a kid below grade level, a grade level or two, would be reading a 700-page novel upside down or backwards because they were ashamed to have something appropriate in their hands. And like I said, I couldn't figure it out. But the answer was right in front of me. It was in my collection at home. It was at my LCS. And I said, cons, just like this one. It was comics. And so I went on the hunt. And I will note, just before Scholastic got on board, I brought comics into my classroom. I beat them to it, nobody cares. And doors opened. Magic happened. You could put a comic book in front of a kid in their hands, any grade level at all, any reading level at all, and there was no shame. There was no stigma, because kids know, for 90 years have known what we know, and so many adults in our lives haven't figured out yet, that comics are good and comics are literature. And so, like I said, I went on the hunt, and the very first book that I brought into my room, the very first book that engaged those kids, was a little fantasy masterpiece by Todd and Mike called Telos. And let me tell you, some of you have probably done some shopping this weekend looking for your keys. Telos was the key to unlock the door to something more magical than I've probably ever seen in any of my classrooms in 22 years. It changed the world for so many kids. And Mike and Todd were first. Now, more came in after that. Some of those people are here tonight and at the con. David Peterson and Jim Shooter books and Garth Ennis books. Before you gasp, no, I did not put Preacher and the Boys in the hands of third graders. He writes children's books too. Get your minds out of the gutter. But Mike and Todd were first. Yes, it's an honor to be here as a nominee. But the true honor for me tonight is to be associated on any level with an award named after a man whose talent and monumental work changed the lives of not only me as a teacher, but literally hundreds of young people whose doors to their lives and their achievements would have been closed without him. On that note, I think it's time to give away some hardware. What do you think?
I think so. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our first award of the night. This category is sponsored by Geek Love, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Nonfiction Comic Work are Banned Book Club, Iron Circus Comics; Chasing the Bird, Charlie Parker in California, Z2 Comics; Come Home Indio, Street Noise Books; Dancing After 10 from Fantagraphics Books; Grateful Dead, Origins, Z2 Comics; Kent State, Abrams Books; We'll Be Home Soon Again, Dark Horse Comics. And the award goes to Kent State, For Dead in Ohio, Abrams Books. Accepting on Durf's behalf is Rebecca Damson.
When Durf found out that I was going to be here and said you can accept any awards on my behalf, I thought he was joking. And then he said, if I win anything, get up there and sing a song, which is not going to happen. Durf sent a note. It says, thanks everyone. This is an awesome way to end a pretty crappy year. This story of Kent State means a lot to me, and I'm glad it resonated with so many, and I am very grateful. And then he put, if I win more than one, you're on your own. So we'll see. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, let's keep it moving. All right, so this next category is sponsored by Source Point Press. Yeah. And the nominees for the Ringo Award for Best Colorist are Toyin Jayton Moby, Laura Alred, Tamara Bonvillain, Aladdin Lee Grant Rutledge Collar, Jacob Phillips, Joe Todd Stanton, and Christian Ward. And the award goes to Tamara Bonvillain.
So I probably should have thought of something to say, but I didn't. So thank you.
Best two-word speech ever. Award number 3. This category is sponsored by Graphics, and the nominees for the 2021 award for Best Kids Comic or Graphic Novel are Akisi, Even More Tales of Mischief, Flying Eye Books, U.S., No Brow Press. Cat Kid Comic Club number 1 from Scholastic Graphics. Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, Action Lab Entertainment. Max Meow, Cat Crusader, Random House. And the Berhapanauts, First Blood, Black Caravan Scout, and Twins from Scholastic Graphics. And the award goes to Twins from Scholastic Graphics. Steenz and I are going to accept this award on Graphics' behalf. They say thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next category is sponsored by Heavy Metal. And yeah, we love heavy metal. And the nominees for the Ringo Award for Best Original Graphic Novel are Buried But Not Dead, Source Point Press. Kent State, Abrams Books. The Loneliness of the Long Distance Cartoonist, Drawn and Quarterly. Moms, Drawn and Quarterly. And Pope, Image Comics. That's a lot of good stuff. It's a lot of good stuff. And the award goes to Pope, Image Comics. And it's accepting on behalf of Pope is writer Ed Brubaker.
Hey, everybody at the Ringos, assuming this is happening in human presences. Thanks for voting for us for this book. This book went to press the day the whole industry shut down, and I had no idea if anyone would ever see it or what the response would be. And it came out when comic stores came back, and the response has been phenomenal. It's our best-selling, best reaction to anything we've ever done. And so thanks from me, Ed Brubaker, and Sean and Jake Phillips, who drew and colored the book.
Award number 5. This category is sponsored by Valiant Entertainment, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Presentation and Design are Crescent City Monsters, Dream Fury Comics, Dave Cockram's X-Men Artifact Edition, IDW Publishing, The Electric Black, Black Caravan Scout, The Harrowing of Hell, Iron Circus Comics, Heavy Metal number 300 from Heavy Metal, Impossible Jones Volume 1, Grin and Gritty Panic Button Press, and Macy and the Riddle of the Sphinx, Flying Eye Books US, No Brow Press. And the award goes to Dave Cockrum's X-Men Artifact Edition, IDW Publishing. Accepting on behalf of the title is the editor, Scott Dunbier.
All right, hello Baltimore. I wish I was there with you. First, thank you for this honor. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry. I'm hearing a delay.
You're in real time. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Hang on a second. Okay. First, thank you for this tremendous honor. I'd like to thank Randy Dahl, the designer of this book, for always giving his all. Thanks to all the art collectors, the dealers, and the collectors who allow me to scan their wonderful and expensive originals. But there's one person especially I want to thank, and that's Haiti Cockrum for her support and incredible generosity in graciously donating all of her royalties on this book to the Hero Initiative. And just so you know, when I first asked Katie if I could point this out if we won, she said she did not do it for that, which made me want to acknowledge her even more. And I would ask you to follow Katie's lead and make a donation, whatever you can, in Dave Cockrum's name to Hero Initiative. They do tremendous work, and it is a cause that meant a lot to Dave. And finally, I'd like to dedicate this award to Katie Cockrum. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys for letting us present the first 5 awards. It was really cool up here, and I didn't sweat as much as I thought I would. So thank you again.
Great job, guys. Our next presenter is an industry veteran, the first African-American writer/editor to work in the comics industry, and who is noted for his works on Quantum and Woody, Static Shock, and Black Panther. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Priest.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen again. Before we get started, I have a brief announcement. Official memo from DC Comics. From, date October 23rd, 1990. From James Owsley, editor, DC Comics, extension 846. To Terry Cunningham, Dick Giordano, Bob Greenberger, Roger Rivera. I would like to establish a penciling rate for Joe Quesada of 75 big dollars a page. Joe is an extremely talented newcomer who shows a lot of promise. I would like DC to review his performance in 6 months and consider him for a more substantial pencil rate. I would also like to establish Joe's pencil cover rate at $110. Please let me know if there's any problem. Thank you very much. So, I am Christopher Priest, better known as Tom King's Lex Luthor. I created Joe Quesada many years ago. I assembled him from the body parts of more talented artists. If any of you read the Ray comic book, the Ray series that we did, I based a lot of that character on Joe. When I met Joe, he looked like the Ray. He was this skinny kid, broke, girl problems, lousy apartment, anything you read in the Ray. You know, maybe not the scene where he takes a bath with his clothes on, but I don't know if he did that, but pretty close. But he was just this great guy, and I immediately saw, the potential in him, and he just showed up at exactly the right time. It's one of these stories. It's one of these things you can't make up. Where like I had nothing to offer him when he showed up at DC, but while he was in the office, I had an artist call up, and he started making all these demands. And I won't tell you who the artist is. Well, maybe if you catch me in the hallway, But this artist called me up, and he wanted a bigger dressing room or something. I don't know. He was making these demands, things I couldn't give him. And I said, I'd like to give it to you, but I can't. Well, if you can't do that, I quit. I said, you quit? He goes, yeah, I quit. And I went, well, okay. And I hung up the phone, and I sat there for a minute, and I went, hey, is that Quesada kid still out there in the hallway? And it began this beautiful relationship. Okay, so about 8 months ago, I was in a dollar store, and I was standing in line to pay for something, I don't know, and there's this little kid, about 8 years old, and here's his dad, and they're in line in front of me, and there's this cover story with the late Chadwick Boseman on the cover, and the child is he's going on and on about Black Panther and how he loves Black Panther, and Black Panther, Black Panther, so I look at him and I go, well, Jimmy, I created that character. And the father turns around and looks at me and he's like, what an awful lie to tell to a child. And, his whole attitude was like, well, if you created Black Panther, why are you shopping in a dollar store? And my reply is like, because I work for Marvel. So, of course, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created Black Panther. I'm not trying to take credit for anything. I loved Stan. Stan was my friend. I'm proud to call him my friend. I love Stan to death. I have the utmost respect for Stan and Jack. But as you know, you all work in the industry. These characters have lots of mommies and daddies. And we had Don McGregor, and we had Roy Thomas, and now we have the great Ta-Nehisi Coates and other people who have come along, Brian Stelfreeze and so forth. But Black Panther, as we know him today, as the mass market knows him, was born in this little cul-de-sac at Marvel, this little semi-autonomous zone at Marvel Comics called Marvel Knights. And it was at a time in Marvel's history where they weren't too happy with some of the characters, and they were going through financial difficulties or whatever was happening there. But they just went to Joe and Jimmy Palmiotti and said, hey, you take those bananas. We don't. You take that Daredevil, Inhumans, the Black Kitty. You go do what you're going to do. Okay, and they went and they made history with it, with every last page of it, because these guys loved Marvel, loved Marvel's legacy, and they just built that shop into something amazing that we've never seen before. And then, I turned my back on this guy for a minute, and next thing I know, he's my boss. And then he's editor-in-chief, and then, he gets promoted to, Kylo Ren or whatever, whatever he's running down there. But we've been friends for a long time. This is a guy that I love and admire. And trust, and probably still owe money to. But he's the guy that helped rescue Marvel from bankruptcy, helped build a real enduring, lasting legacy, so much so that the corporate giants swooped in and stole it all away. But we're really grateful to have him. He's a giant in the business. He's my friend. And now he is the recipient of this Lifetime Achievement Award, which is around here somewhere. And I would like everyone to just kind of recognize my friend, Joe Quesada.
Wow.
Big shot.
Oh, come on now. Wow, okay. I had a Ringo story, but let me just say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for this, and thanks to the Hero Initiative. First, let me talk about the Hero Initiative. They do God's work. Jim McLaughlin and team literally just work tirelessly, work behind the scenes. They don't promote themselves enough. So please, whenever you can, whatever you can, give to the Hero Initiative. And it doesn't have to be money. It can be time, volunteer at conventions. They do incredible work. Priest Jim. I'm one of the handful of people that could call him Jim because I knew him when he was a Jim before he was a priest. I've been very, very fortunate enough. You literally plucked me off the street. Literally. I was waiting in that lobby. And you saw something in me, and thank you. I've been fortunate enough to have some great mentors in my life. Archie Goodwin, Denny O'Neil, but the two greatest ones I've had have been Stan Lee and Jim Owsley. I learned more about not just making comics, but life and how to handle yourself as a professional in this industry from those guys. And thank you, you know. And, you know, he's one of my best friends on the planet. And for some reason, my wife likes you too. So I want to, first of all, thank you. I can't tell you how much fun it is to be back at a show, not just seeing you all from the waist down, we know how that sounds, but also because it's wonderful to be amongst my tribe. We're all part of that same tribe. And give ourselves some applause, damn it! But I do want to tell a Ringo story because these are the Ringo Awards. You know, as we all know, you know, Mike was all about just fun comics, entertaining comics, right? Comics that just expanded your imagination and, you know, spun a good yarn. But the story that I have about Mike is really one that's about his professionalism. So, you know, bear with me, this is a little bit long. But, you know, Mike and I, we weren't best friends. We weren't tight, but we were contemporaries, and we'd always see each other at shows and pleasantries. I loved his art, big fan of his stuff. And when I was at Marvel, he was working on the Fantastic Four for us with Mark Waid, doing a legendary, beautiful, beautiful run on the book. And one of the things that I learned as a professional, very early on from another professional, because I'd found myself in this situation where I was being offered more money from another company they were poaching me basically to go to work for them. And I remember this professional telling me, whatever you do, if you decide to take that deal, make sure you finish the commitment you have with your current publisher, because it looks bad. You get a bad reputation. Even though you're making more money, it's a bad thing to do. Also, in the unspoken rules of publishing, a publisher would never ask you to leave in the middle of a project. That's just not the way it was done, because a publisher wouldn't want that done to them if someone was being poached from their lineup. So that's kind of the way that, you know, I approached a segment of my business. Things changed in the industry as Marvel started to, we started to do a little bit better. And, you know, we had a great team there because nothing happens in a vacuum. So we were starting to gain a little bit of success, and our distinguished competition had to sort of do something to spark their business. And they hired new folks, and the management sort of methodology changed. And suddenly they were aggressively approaching our talent and going after them. But the methodology was different. The methodology was, hey, we're going to offer you significantly more than what Marvel is offering you. But you have to leave the project that you're on right now. Now, listen, I don't want to villainize anybody, but that was just a new methodology, and it really took me by surprise. So I would have artists and writers call me up and say, hey, listen, DC offered me significantly more than you're offering us. And we were just past the Chapter 11 point, so things were still tight. They're always tight, but they were really tight back then. And so call, hey, they've offered me this amount of money. Can you match it? No, we can't. Okay. Well, I have to leave in the middle of the project. What? I have to leave in the middle of the project. Okay, so because if not, the offer is off the table. Those were the stipulations. So to me, it felt unfair because number one, it was breaking the unspoken rules of publishing, but at the same time, it was putting a freelancer in a bad position where they had to sort of tarnish their reputation. This happened several times. And then they went after Mike. And they offered Mike a lot more money than we were offering Mike to go over to DC. So Mike called me up and said, look, this is what they're offering me. I said, Mike, let me go upstairs to management and talk to our publisher, Bill Jemis, and see if we can match it. And Bill's like, we can't. So I called Mike. I said, look, you just got to take the offer. And then Mike found out that he had to leave before his commitment was done. And he went back to DC and he told them to go pound sand. And he is, now here, the thing about this is, he is the only creator who said, no, I'm not going until I finish my commitment. And they told him, sorry, deal's off the table. So I ran up and spoke to Bill Jemis when I heard about this story, and we both decided we got to at least give him a raise. We couldn't match what DC was giving him, but we gave him a raise. And I will never, ever, ever forget that about Mike, because he was the only one who really showed true professionalism in the light of major dollars at that time. So to be here, at the Ringos, to be here accepting this at this dais, it brings back those memories of Mike, and I think aside from the fun comics that he put out, the beautiful illustrations, and just being an all-around great guy, we should not forget he was a tremendous professional. So thank you.
Thank you, Christopher, and congratulations, Joe. Our next two presenters have helped us out before. You're looking at John Gallagher's work on the screen and in your program guide, and he's a nominee this year. And Jamar Nicholas helped us out with our 2020 virtual Ringo Awards event. Please welcome them to the dais.
Hi, how's everybody? Woo! Oh yeah, Art, how are you, brother? I'm so excited to be here, guys. Thank you so much. What's really exciting to me is to be able to share the stage with my man, John Gallagher. Give it up for John. I'm really excited to be up here with John because this is John's year. If you know Max Meow, Cat Crusader is the mascot of Baltimore Comic-Con this year. These are on your programs. Exciting.
That's great. Well, I'm so excited to be up here with Jamar. I've known Jamar for years, and actually had a couple meals with Jamar and Ringo at the same time. And it's so exciting to be up here. I'm especially excited. Jamar is a professor of comics. He's an all right. You may have seen him online with his coffee talk with Jamar. And, he is a masterful podcaster with Mike Manley and just some great stuff. And I'm especially excited because Jamar has a new book coming out next year, Leon
The Extraordinary.
The Extraordinary. I won't mess that up. From Scholastic Graphics.
Thank you. And, I'm taking cues from John because his magnificent series at Random House Graphics, Max Meow, we're just like putting it up. And also was a nominee for, but you didn't win, though.
No,
Sorry.
no. Actually, I feel really bad. Not for me. I'm just honored to be nominated. But I do feel bad for the audience because, I had some great cat puns. Some of which I'll read here.
Do you have to do that?
Possum. Terrific.
No.
Catitude.
No, please. Please put your phone down.
It's kind of a bummer. I mean, I might feel better if you would do just one cat pun for me.
Nah. I'm sorry, bro. I can't do it.
Okay.
Don't be like that, man.
That's fine. It's fine. Just go ahead.
Cat got your tongue, John Gallagher?
Hey! Okay, please forgive us for that.
All right, cool. Let's get this started. Thanks for not leaving when we were up here. So let's get this started. This category is sponsored by Webtoon. Woo! And the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Artist or Penciler are Josh Adams, Jamal Campbell, Elsa Charretier, Hansa Art, and Sana Takeda. And the award goes to, this is my favorite part. Yo, there's nothing in here. Oh, hold on. I got you. All right, facts. Best Artist or Penciler, Jamal Campbell. And look how famously close our names are together. So it's me, Jamal Eigel, and Jamal Campbell, and L. Jamal Walton. We're taking over, John Gallagher. Jamal couldn't be here tonight. We'll proudly accept this award on his behalf. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next award is for Best Humor Comic, sorry. This category is sponsored by Webtoon, and the nominees for the...
Webtoon.
For the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Humor Comic are Akisi, Even More Tales of Mischief, Flying Eye Books, Snowbrow Press, Archimaniacs, DC, Billionaire Island, Ahoy Comics, Loving Capes, The Family Way, Miracle Press, IDW Publishing, Metal Shark Bro 2, Assault on Hamzig Island, Scout Comics, Moms, Drawn and Quarterly, at Wicked Things, Boom Studios. And the award goes to Metal Shark Bro 2, Assault on Hamzig Island, Scout Comics. Accepting the award are writers Bob France and Kevin Cuff.
Congratulations.
This is clearly a shock.
No.
This is clearly a shock.
Take this.
This is clearly a shock.
We are not expecting this.
Not at all. I have no idea what to say, so I'm just going to say thank you. Walter Osley, who is the artist, couldn't be here. Chaz Pangburn, who is the letterer and editor, could not be here. So I can't speak. I'm sorry. I apologize. I am genuinely excited. Hey, Chaz is here. I've never met Chaz in real life.
But we can see him on the computer.
The funny part is I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Chaz lives in Covington, Kentucky, which is right across the river. I've never met him before, and this is the first time I've ever seen his face in real life. So that's amazing. I've talked entirely too long. Thank you so much. Thank you to my wife, who's amazing, my wonderful kids, and this is fucking amazing.
I just want to thank my family for always being supportive. Thank you. And thank all of you.
That's fantastic. All right, this category is sponsored by Webtoon. Woo, Webtoon. And the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Anchor are Sanford Green, Brett Hobson, Jolie, Gabrielle Hernandez Walter, and Tonchi Zonich. How do I sound, Gallagher? Am I coming out clear? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
You know, my mother used to say I mumbled, so I need to enunciate. Enunciate. Yo, there's nothing Yo, they're trying to get me, man. This is how I wind up out of the industry. Woo! All right, the winner is Best Inker, Sanford Green. Accepting this award on Sanford's behalf is Rocket Ship Entertainment publisher and president Tom Eckel. Tom, come on up.
I'm sleeping.
Come on, Randy. All right, here you go, brother. Congrats, bro.
So Sanford, I just told him he won, and he texted me earlier in case he would win. Very wordy. Thank you. God bless and good night.
Okay, again, this category is sponsored by Webtoon. Yeah. And the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Series are the Department of Truth, Image Comics; Far Sector, DC Comics; Lore Olympus, Webtoon; My Deepest Secret, Webtoon; Usagi Yojimbo, IDW Publishing; Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, DC. And the award goes to...
See, that's how they tried to get me.
Yeah, I know. Look. Usagi Yojimbo, IDW Publishing.
Is anybody coming?
I don't think.
Oh.
Well, thank you. This is just amazing. I was with you guys. Baltimore's one of my very favorite conventions, so this is great. I've been doing Usagi for 37 years now, and I'm just glad because I get to do what I love to do. But fans are wonderful. I have to thank my readers and thank all those who voted for me. This is just incredible. So thank you. Have a great time in Baltimore, guys.
Okay.
That's it? All right.
Hey, great. Thanks, everybody.
Night.
Thank you, gentlemen. Just a quick note to the follow-on presenters. Every time that we bump this podium, apparently it is pushing it to the next slide, and so it's popping up the winner before we announce them. Just stand back a little bit and no dancing. All right, here to present the Mike Wieringo Comic Book Industry Spirit Award. Put your hands together for Todd Dezago, Craig Rousseau, and Matt Wieringo.
Love you too. You say it. See?
Sorry, everybody. When Randy said that this was going to be streaming live again this year, we thought he meant that this was going to be another virtual presentation. So, you know, we dressed appropriately. And I did want to say that I'm sorry, but unlike Mr. Rotterdam, I kind of am here because somebody died. So.
You're the first one.
Oh, I'm the first one. We didn't practice. I'm sorry.
We didn't practice at all.
Todd wrote this like 10 minutes ago.
As I do.
That's still great.
So the Ringo Awards were named in honor of my brother, Mike Wieringo. And as a kid, Mike loved everything about comics. And like most of us, I'm sure, loved to escape in the vivid, I am sure.
You are?
I'm sure. I'm sure, loved to escape into the vivid worlds inside.
Also, like most of us, Mike not only treasured the adventure and excitement, he also came to know and admire the talented writers and artists that created those stories.
While the Ringo Awards are awarded by a panel of judges selected each year for their own expertise and achievements in the field, the spirit of Ringo Awards is presented to comic book or graphic novel that we, the people who knew Mike best and were close to him, feel that Mike would have liked.
Me?
That's you. You wrote it.
That Mike would. This was supposed to go fast. The books that make us sad that he isn't here to enjoy.
They're like news anchors.
I know.
that make us say to each other, Mike would have loved this.
Okay. Sorry, this is really jumpy. This year's Spirit of Ringo Award goes to a graphic novel that takes a run at the familiar tropes of the classic fantasy tale. A revelatory yarn that begins unspooling right from the outset. Penned by writer Matt Kint, our young protagonist, convinced that the building blocks of legend are tangible and able to be revealed, goes on a quest to do just that, to expose the fables and beliefs that we hold dear and prove himself to be a formidable storyteller.
The wide-eyed Ansel's journey takes him through a variety of colorful and magical realms, all brought to gorgeous life by artist and my old college roommate, Matt Smith. And while some of those lands may seem familiar to the seasoned fantasy fanatic, there are traps and snares in each, both practical and emotional.
We are very happy to present, along with our absent fourth, Mark Wade, this year's Spirit of Ringo Award to Folklords by Matt Kent and Matt Smith. And I hope that this will prompt them to do a volume 2 as soon as possible because I'm dying to read it.
And I don't know if you all noticed, but it was in the gift bag. Like they knew how awesome that book was.
Apparently, neither of them are here to accept the award, but Craig and I were nominated earlier, and we have a speech prepared. No, we don't. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, gentlemen. I actually thought they were going to be a part of the virtual awards. Suspect we'll have something after the fact. All right, one of our next presenters started in webcomics and has found her way to print, while the other started in print and has made a lasting impact in webcomics. Please put your hands together for Leanne Krecic and Dean Haspiel.
Hello.
What's up, y'all? Listen, nobody's talked about the fact that we're back, all right? We're back. This table alone right here with Mark and Shelly Nathan, come on now. We got to give it up to these folks right now. It's our comic book family in the house, all right? So I want to say thank you. and I feel special, okay? Thank you, thank you.
No, you're beautiful.
No, you. This is the fan awards? Is it what,
Yes, it is.
Right?
Correct.
So I want to ask Joe. Listen, we all start in comics by being fans of comics, right? Joe, what was the comic that made you a fan of comics? Spider-Man. Who else we got? Christina Blanche. You don't mean to call you out. Like, what comic made you a fan of comics? Prince Valiant. Nice. Tom King, give it up. What's up? Tom Palmer Avengers. All right. Leanna, what made you a fan of comics?
X-Men.
X-Men? For me, it was Ron Wilson on Marvel 2-in-1. All right. And with that, I guess we got to present some awards. So you go first.
Excellent.
Okay.
This category is sponsored by Rocket Ship Entertainment. And the award for fan favorite hero goes to Velcro. Yes, thank you for the drum. Fan favorite hero, Persephone from Lord Olympus. Accepting on behalf of Webtoon is Paul June.
Maybe not.
Except on their behalf, all right? He's not popping up on the screen.
On second thought, accepting on behalf, we are happy to accept this on their behalf.
Once again, this category is sponsored by Rocket Ship Entertainment, and the award for fan favorite villain goes to Emma, My Deepest Secret from Webtoon. Accepting on behalf of Webtoon is Paul Jun. No, it's the same dude. So.
Yep. Which we're happy to accept on his behalf. And again, this category, the next category, is sponsored by Rocket Ship Entertainment, and the award for fan favorite new series goes to, drumroll. Thank you. I used to be a drum major, so. New favorite series, Midnight Poppyland by Webtoon. Accepting on behalf, we'll be happy to accept this award on their behalf. Thank you.
Oh, we got it.
Paul June.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm trying to get this working, but thank you so much. It's an honor to be standing here for all the Webtoon nominees and winners. And thank you, everyone. And I would like to thank the Ringo Awards and all the fans who made all of this possible. And thank you so much.
Once again, Rocket Ship is rocking this category. All right, so fan favorite for new talent goes to Lily Dusk?
Correct.
Lily Dusk. Once again, accepting on behalf of Lily Dusk is Paul Jun.
Now, and it's an honor to be part of this great award with so many creative people inspiring me. Thank you so much.
Technology is great when it works. And for the next title, this category again is sponsored by Rocket Ship Entertainment. And the award for fan favorite publisher goes to Rocket Ship Entertainment. Accepting this award is CEO and publisher Tom Akel. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, I'll say more words than Sanford, but he did want to add, say what? And wow. So that's back to the Best Thinker Award. I'm gonna try to do some thank yous really quick because I'm afraid someone's gonna realize they've made a terrible mistake and take this away from me. So I guess just first thank you to all the creators we work with, both of you so much. Our partner, Rob Feldman, our company partners, Legendary Entertainment, Tapas, Simon & Schuster, Crown Studios, and Stanley's Power Entertainment for having faith in us. Thank you to a few people who helped we've only been in business two years. This is not normal, probably. So thank you to Matt Hawkins, Philip Sableek, Robert Napton, Camille Zhang, Oriana Leckert, everybody at Kickstarter. I'm forgetting John Boy Myers, people who really helped us form this company, without whom their guidance and advice, it wouldn't exist. And then, and especially, obviously, it's a fan-voted award, so just thank you so much for 2 years of just unwavering support from an army of fans buying our stuff. You know, we wouldn't be here without you as a company, and I mean, this is just silly. So, and sorry, if they're watching at home, my God, thank you to my wife and my children, especially for allowing me to turn our garage into a fulfillment facility throughout COVID as we got this off the ground with, 6 pallets of books and Uline supplies. That doesn't happen anymore. Now everything's in a warehouse. But yeah, thank you so much for your kindness and patience with me as we built this thing. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Leanne and Dean. Please welcome to the stage the VP of Content of 2020's fan favorite publisher, Tapas Media, Michael Sun, and acclaimed artist of Fool's Gold, Madame Xanadu, Batwoman, and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Amy Reeder.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
All right. Hey, Michael.
Hey.
So yeah, we're presenting some really amazing nominees here, and I know that you are doing some amazing things at Tapas, and I've been enjoying my career in comics as well, but I feel like we want to be a part of these categories that we're about to read, so we have an announcement to make.
Yeah, so Amy and I are going to be doing a webcomic anthology, humor, and we'll both be lettering it. So we're going to try to sweep the awards next year.
Yeah, we want to be in every single one of these categories.
Yes.
Yeah, so we want to compete.
But tonight we will be presenting on these lovely awards. Webcomics in particular have grown so much in terms of popularity and diversity. Stories that you can't find anywhere else, bringing together fans from all over the world. And this category is sponsored by Tapas Media, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Webcomic are DPS Only by Tapas Media, Fangs by Tapas Media, Heart of the City by Andrews McMeel, Midnight Poppyland by Webtoon, Shiloh by Webtoon, and Totally Under Control, Insider.com. And the award goes to Fangs by Sarah Anderson. Oops. Is she not? On her behalf, but she was supposed to be the room.
Okay.
There's Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to Tapas for hosting Fangs, and congratulations to all of the other nominees. I also want to say thank you to the Ringo Awards. It is always such an honor to be part of this ceremony. And I want to say thank you to anyone who read and enjoyed the series. I'm always so grateful for your continued support. I hope to see you all in person next year, or hopefully sometime even sooner. Thank you so much and have a great night, everyone.
This next category is also sponsored by Tapas Media, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Humor Webcomic are The Abominable Charles Christopher at carlkerschel.com, Bagel High, Instagram.com, Yo-Yo Robot, Beware of Toddler, bewareoftoddler.com, Cassandra Comics at Tapas Media, Cursed Princess Club at Webtoon, The Middle Age, steveconley.com, Sarah Scribbles, Tapas Media, and XKCD at xkcd.com. And the award goes to Sarah Scribbles. Congratulations again to Sarah Anderson.
Hi again. I really was not expecting to win twice, so I don't have anything super clever to say, except that I am so grateful to have won, especially when some of the other nominees are some of my heroes and are just incredible artists. So thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right, I have the pleasure of reading out oh yeah, so I should just say it, but anthologies are awesome. I've been in 3 of them this year, and so I can say from personal experience, they're a great time to experiment and, try new things, but also think about what's classic and bring to it what you will. So this category is sponsored by Tapas Media, thank you. And the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Anthology are Be Gay, Do Comics by IDW Publishing, Hey Amateur, Go From Novice to Nailing It in 9 Panels, IDW Publishing, Maybe Someday, Stories of Promise, Visions of Hope, A Wave Blue World. Pandemics, Quarantine Comics in the Age of Rona, self-published. And Votes for Women, The Battle of the 19th Amendment, Little Red Bird Press. And the award goes to, I like doing this, Be Gay, Do Comics by IDW Publishing. Oh, accepting is IDW Senior PR Manager Keith Davidson. But I'll be accepting for Keith. Yeah. And should I read the next one? Yes. Okay, cool. All right. So I've also lettered, so I'm just bringing this back to me, but it's really hard. So it's hard to fit all that stuff, and I'm sorry on behalf of all artists for what we do to letterers in terms of not giving them any space. This category is sponsored by Tapas Media, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Letterer are Dayron Bennett. Yay! Aditya Bidikar, DC Hopkins, Micah Myers, and Chaz Pangburn. And the award goes to, Aditya Bidikar. And we accept this award on her behalf.
Thanks, guys. All right, we're getting there, guys. Our next presenter is renowned for his work on kid-friendly books with such titles as Patrick the Wolf Boy, Itty Bitty Hellboy, Teen Titan, Tiny Titans, I knew I was going to do that, and DC Super Pets. Everybody please give a big "Aw, yeah" for Art Baltazar.
Oh yeah, man.
Thanks, man. My name's Baltazar. I'm a famous cartoonist. And I don't remember when I met Gene Ha. I have no idea. I've been doing comics for like almost 30 years, and he's always been there. He's everywhere I go, Gene Ha's there. And when Randy sent me an email about 2 weeks ago saying, hey, would you like to give an award to Gene Ha? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. So I said, I know Gene Ha forever. So I was so happy. And I came up to dinner. My kids were eating, my 18-year-old, 15-year-old, my wife. We're all sitting there. And they're like, what was that? Why are you so happy? I said, okay, I'm going to a Ringo Awards. It's the first time I'm going to Baltimore in like 10 years. And I'm up for a nomination, but I also get to give an award for a friend of mine. And they're like, oh, cool, who is he? I said, it's Gene Ha. And they said, what has he done? I'm like, I don't know. I said, but I known the guy forever. He has of course he works for Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, IDW. He probably worked for everybody. But I had no idea what he does. And my daughter says, Daddy, how can you know your friend who's an artist like you and you don't know what he does? I'm like, I never asked them. And I'm like, the only way I know Gene Ha is every time I sign a kid's sketchbook, they find a blank page and I see one of Gene Ha's drawings. And it was the first time I ever saw someone draw with gray markers. I'm like, what are those markers? Those are cool. And I found out they're Copic markers, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I found out they're too expensive, so now I'll stick with my Sharpie and crayon. And then my kids are like, well, you got to find out. So I went and I was about to Google, and I'm like, no, I don't want to ruin what I have. I don't want to ruin it. I don't need to know Gene Ha is awesome. I already know he's awesome. I look at these sketchbook and he draws people, he draws superheroes, he draws awesome Harlequin. I see it all the time. And I know that he did a book called May. That's the first time I ever saw his work, actually, in a comic. He had a Kickstarter, it kicked ass, it did all kinds of awards, or I don't know what it did, but it broke records. He got funded, and then the book went to Dark Horse, and they published it, and I'm just going to fudge. It made New York Times bestseller. I don't know if it did. So I know he's amazing, but I went to Florida, Gene Ha was there. I went to Wisconsin, Gene Ha was there. I went to New York Comic-Con, Gene Ha was there. I don't remember when I met him, but he's always been around. He signed at our Skokie store. We have 3 stores, one in Muncie, Indiana, New York. We got one in New York and one in Chicago. And he signed his book. We probably had it for May. I don't know. We just have artists there. I show up and like, who's the guy we got? And they're like, oh, I know that guy. Cool. And so he stayed for our after party. We had a party. We had, can we say drinks? We had alcoholic adult beverages. There's no kids there. I'm a kid's artist. I get weird about that. And we did a video. We're dancing. We're having a good time. He was at our introduction to our store for the C2E2 bash, where people are still mad at me and Franco for doing that party. He was there. And Gene Ha is awesome. And I know he's doing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to spoil right now. He's doing a secret Wonder Woman comic book for DC they didn't even announce yet. I'm breaking it, exclusive. He told me I could say it, so it's not my fault. But not only that, okay? Gene Ha is a big, super, crazy supporter for schools, for libraries, for kids. He donates his time to kids learning how to do comics, to kids writing for comics, to kids learning the comic book form. I know that he does all of these libraries and stuff because about once a month I get an email from Gene Ha saying, hey man, this library could really use your cartooning sense. I draw superheroes, but you draw the kid stuff. And I always say, damn it, I can't make it. Damn it, I can't make it. It's either I got deadlines or, that C word, the one that starts with an O, not, COVID. Forget it. I'm not going to say it. I'll get me too. But he sends me every time he's at a school, he emails me. So I'm going to go to one in December because of Gene Ha, and it's going to be in Arlington Heights, Illinois. But Gene Ha is awesome. He does all these things for kids, for schools, for libraries, for literature, for reading, for kids learning things, even if it's just a comic book they're reading. Gene Ha's your guy. And I have to say things. I had to write. My whole speech is these 2 lines. Right. The Heroes Initiative sponsored, and their phrase is helping comics change one day at a time. And I want to present my friend Gene Ha for the Dick Giordano Humanitarian Award for everything he did. Gene Ha.
Okay, let me just mention a few things in context of some things that have been said tonight. We met at SuperCon. I thought you were a charming young kid, and I hoped you made it in the industry, so I'm glad you survived.
You told me never to call you sir. I remember that. I said, you're a good man, sir. And you said, stop calling me sir.
Yeah. And yeah, you said, yeah, I will stop, sir.
Yeah, stop, sir. I'll stop, sir.
I met Mike Wieringo, but I never really got a chance to have a good conversation with him because I made the really dumb assumption. Sooner or later, I'm just going to we're going to end up at some dinner table or something like that. I'm going to have a great conversation with him. I'm a huge fan of his work. And as other people noted, he had like the most dynamism possible inside of artwork. And I was so looking forward to meeting him someday, and it didn't happen. I was brought into the industry by the only submissions editor I've ever heard of worked at Marvel or DC, who enjoyed the job, Neil Posner. And I looked forward to meeting him someday. And then he died before I could meet him. Should I also mention Jack Kirby also, like I was 2 years into the industry, I was thinking someday I'm going to meet Jack Kirby now. And so there's a list of people I really wanted to meet who I didn't get a chance to. So to literally everyone in this room, thank you for still being alive, even through the pandemic. I am grateful for all of your lives, all of you being here. I want to specifically mention, I had this, after my first projects at DC, I had an editor who was my drill sergeant, who drilled it into my head, drop and give me 20, that wasn't good, drop and give me another 20, of don't let the flash subvert the story. The story comes first, make that work. And after that, the Mike Wieringo genius flash stuff, the pizzazz, the jazz, that comes after you've made sure that the story's told right. That editor's name was Jim Owsley, which took me over 10 years to find out is the same guy as Christopher Priest. So thank you, Mr. Drill Sergeant, Mr. Owsley. Let me see. Oh man, just this is literally humbling because when I started off in the industry, it was at the end of I was at the end of a huge speculation boom. Sales were gigantic. 1 million copies of X-Men #1 sold. And it was usually 20 people buying a single their own copies and then putting them in bags. And every year I worked in the industry for years after that, the comics industry in the United States got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I felt like I was climbing a mountain that was shrinking faster than I could climb it. And as you know, for the last about 12, 15 years, sales have actually been going up again. And in part that's because of people like Mr. Owsley / Priest, who drilled into the heads of those of us who wanted to do good storytelling to make the storytelling work, but also because of all you damn young bastards just bringing out brilliant new stories that are things that a lot of us back then in the early 90s debated and often believed could not work. Just the idea of webcomics being like this huge, giant, surging thing is just like so inspiring. So thank you, all of you, again, brilliant young bastards, for bringing me along for this ride and saving the industry so I can still have a job. I really, really appreciate it. I also want to bring up another group who are really important and who made a huge difference. Librarians. Now, there's a few, There's no better profession out there for getting kids into comics who haven't started reading comics yet, because they're free, the parents are distracted, and then there's just I forgot the name of the teacher who came up here earlier. As you know, the kids who don't like reading can be tricked into reading literature if it's in the form of a comic book. Yes. Yeah, and early in my years in comics, I was living in Bloomington, Indiana, and I love Bloomington, Indiana. One of the best things is that I had both a great public library there and also had a really, really great university library system there at Indiana University. And I was doing a huge amount I was a horrible patron. I left Post-it notes in when I returned the books and stuff like that. And when I returned, one summer when I was there was this really cute girl behind the checkout counter checking the books back in. And I spent all summer thinking, oh God, she is so cute. But I know she probably gets everyone hitting on her, and make it really awkward if I'm like keep on coming back to return books, and she has to say no, and then when she spends the rest of the summer or the rest of her however many years in her college career, having me come up to her and like giving her that awkward look. But then I didn't see her for a month, and then I saw her again. I thought, okay. She might be graduating, or I don't know, she might be like a professional librarian, she might be leaving, I might never see her again. And so I finally asked her for her number, and she gave it to me, and that's my wife, Lisa Sharkey. And comics were not a big thing inside of libraries at the time, and it wouldn't be for a while, and Lisa helped bring me into the world of comics, or not my world of comics into the world of libraries, help me understand how to bridge the two. So I'm not going to be able to name enough of them because there's so many librarians out there who have worked so hard to make it as normal to have comic books inside of libraries. It was not a normal thing back in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. It was kind of a battle. I'd like to thank some people at comic companies like DC and Dark Horse. I do not know the full history of this, but I do know two names of Rich Johnson with no T at DC Comics, and I asked Rich Johnson about this, and he said that I also need to mention, Michael Martins at Dark Horse. Yeah, and others I do not know for fighting to help, going to ALA meetings, even when most librarians didn't think those comics believed inside of libraries, and they kept going. I'd also like to thank librarians like Robin Brenner, Eva Volin, and Mike Pawak, who in 2003, back again when it was not acceptable to so many librarians, especially the ones in senior positions, to put comics in front of kids in a library, served on the American Library Association's graphic novel task force, and of course argued that comic books are books. I'm going to single out one person who's at this convention. I don't think he's in this room, but maybe he is. The person who put out a comic book that in 2007 won the LA's Youth Media Award for the first time for a comic book, Jean Luen Yang's American-Born Chinese. If you're in the room, that's great. If he's not in the room, somebody tell him afterwards that I am grateful to him personally. And I'd also like to thank, she's one of a group, but specifically librarian Tina Coleman of the American Library Association, who has fought for over about 20 years to help bring comics into libraries and helped organize the Graphic Novels and Comics Roundtable to establish comics in library collections. Again, in the 90s, I was around 2000, I was thinking this industry is doomed and I don't know what I'm going to do afterwards. So again, I am so grateful to all of you guys out there and online who saved my job. Also Joe Quesada thank you for saving Marvel. What he mentioned they were in chapter 11, they were very close to the edge before things turned around there. I once went up at a convention, snuck up to the speaker, this is a little bit after the bankruptcy was announced, and said, okay, we're gonna start bidding on Marvel. We're starting at $1, who has two? And the con organizer was so mad at me. But again, thank you all, for everyone out there, and all of your friends out there, if you let them know, I am so grateful to all of them for saving my job. I'm just going to end this with one more thing as a reference to John Gallagher and Jamar. Thanks for the memories.
Congratulations, Gene, and thanks, Art, and Jim and Kevin at Hero Initiative. Okay. Our last presenters are 2/3 of the Strange Adventures team, and it's a pretty good bet that's what we're in for here. Tom, do not upset Mitch. Please welcome Tom King and Mitch Gerads.
It's such an honor to be here. I love this award show. I love this con. I love comics. But what I think makes this award so special, this Ringo Award, is that it's named after an artist. You know, our industry is can be very divided between sort of creators, and it's a collaboration, but a lot of people don't really understand the collaboration. And to have an award that centers on the artist and not the writer, when we so often hog the spotlight, and when we sometimes will, you know, you'll see in media they'll talk about your comics and they'll say, you know, this Why the Last Man is by Brian K. Vaughan and the leave off Pia, and it's just not fair. It's and I get tired of it, to be perfectly honest, as a member of this industry, that we don't let the artists hold the microphone. We don't let the artists even have a voice. And I don't know, frankly, it pisses me off. That's all I'm trying to say. So we're gonna move on to the nominees.
This category is sponsored by Boom Studios. And the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Writer are Penelope Bazou, Anthony Del Cole, Jason Douglas, N.K. Jemison, Marjorie Liu, James Tynan IV, and Ram V. And the award goes to James Tynan. And we accept this award on James's behalf.
This next category is sponsored by Boom Studios, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Cover Artist are Giancarlo Bernal, Stephanie Hans, Manhouse, Steve Lieber, Peach Momoko, Kevin O'Neill, and Joe Todd Stanton. And the winner is Peach Momoko. We accept this award on Peach's behalf.
This category is also sponsored by Boom Studios, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Single Issue or Story are All America Comics #1 from Image Comics, Firefly, The Outlaw Ma Reynolds by Boom Studios, Marcy and the Riddle of the Sphinx from Flying Eye Books and No Brow Press, oh God. Mean Teckle Up Sharson from Ice Cream Man Present Quarantine Comics Special #1, Image Comics. The OZ, self-published. Parallel from Source Point Press. And the award goes to the OZ, self-published. Accepting this award is writer David Pipos. everybody.
Oh my goodness. You know, they say comics will break your heart, but days like this, comics will love you back. Yeah, I just want to thank the OZ's incredible creative team, artist Ruben Rojas, my partner in crime on this book, colorist Whitney Kogar, letterer DC Hopkins, our amazing cover artists, Mon House, Rio Burton, Kenneth Wagnon, Anna Wysick, my amazing partner, Claire, who none of these books would exist without you, my family, and the Wieringo family. Thank you so much. That's a tremendous honor. Thank you.
This category is again sponsored by Boom Studios, and the nominees for the 2021 Ringo Award for Best Cartoonist are Durf Backdurf, Leeanne M. Krecic, Mongi, Stan Sakai, Rachel Smythe, Adrian Tomine, and Sophie Yano. And the award goes to Stan Sakai.
Thank you. This is just amazing. 2 awards. I feel like I should stay home every year. Again, I wish I was in Baltimore because Mark and Shelley threw such a great convention. Like I said, it's one of our very favorites. I have to again thank the readers, my family, Julie, who proofreads everything, and we've collaborated on a few things too. I'd also like to give a shout out. I think David Peterson's in the audience there. So thank you, David. You've been doing such wonderful covers for the Sergeant Classic series. So thank you. And thank you all, everyone in Baltimore. And, you know, like I said, I wish we were there. So thank you so much.
I'm hoping I don't have the opportunity to make that joke again ever. I appreciate everybody wearing masks at the show and really every place. Thanks again to all of our presenters, sponsors, staff contributors, and publishers that made this year's event possible. And congratulations to the nominees and winners alike. If you won an award but couldn't make the ceremony, make an acceptance video and send it to us. We'll put it up on socials. If you would like to, if you were here tonight and you won an award and you'd like the box that the award came in for safe transportation home, see me after the ceremony. Thank you, comic and book retailers for putting out your Ringo Awards displays. If you haven't already, read these books. Back these companies, support our sponsors. We will see you in person October 29th, 2022. Good night, everybody.
Mike was a dear friend and a mentor to me in the beginning of my career. I was a young kid coming up in this business, trying to figure out how to draw, how to navigate, how to stand my ground. And Mike was always there for me to give his experiences. And over the years of our friendship, we spent many, many hours on the phone while we're drawing, laughing, talking about movies, talking about comics, seeing who found the new, Olivier Vatine hardcover art book from France. He meant a lot to me. I probably would not be where I am today if we wouldn't have had our friendship when we did. I love you, Mike. I miss you, man. I think you'd be excited to see what all of us cartoony talking animal artists have been able to accomplish because of your inspiration. Love you, buddy.
I have worked over the past 35 years with hundreds of artists and collaborators. And to this day, there's been no one better than Mike Wieringo. I miss him every day. I think that some of the best work that I've ever done, I've been able to do because he was my partner. I first knew of him back before the Flash days. I had seen none of his work, actually. I was standing in editor Brian Augustin's office, and we were looking for a new artist. And I looked down on Brian's desk, and upside down on the desk, upside down to me, was a page from an issue of Justice League Quarterly, a 10-pager that he had drawn, just come in. And I knew, looking at that page upside down, out of context, I took one look at it and said, that's our guy. And we got a right side up look at it, and it looked even better. But I got to tell you, that was our guy. And Brian loved Mike's art, got a hold of him immediately. And that's what gave me my second wind on the Flash after the return of Barry Allen. He did things with the way you visualize speed, with the way that you visualize that character, that people are still using as reference points. Artists are still using as reference points. And working with him was just a delight. And then we moved over to Fantastic Four and did that for nearly 3 years. And I got to tell you, that, again, one of the best working experiences I've ever had in my life. Mike was always up for the challenge. He enjoyed talking about the stories ahead of time, but he was always hesitant about putting, infringing, quote unquote, too much in my lane, but which is baloney. I mean, Mike was a good storyteller. So I always encouraged him. Let's talk this thing out. As a matter of fact, about halfway through the FF run, maybe a little after halfway through, I just said, look, can we just do plot dialogue now? Can we just do where I just send you the plot and then you work out the pacing in the pages and I'll put in the dialogue later? Is that okay with you? And he was nervous about it, but he was fine with it. And I think it's some of our best work. My favorite memory of Mike on a professional level is that I went to his office once, way early on. I think we'd done like 2 issues of Flash, and I was driving through his neck of the woods, stopped into his studio, and met him for the first time. Swell guy, and saw how he was working, and it was insane. No wonder he was making himself sick working around the clock. He would do real rough thumbnails of every page, and then he would do very, very tight breakdowns of every page, and then he would do very, very, very tight drawings of each page that, not even on the page yet, just on typing paper. And then he would lightbox it onto a piece of artboard and draw it for the 4th time. And it always looked great. It never lost anything in the translation, but boy, he was just, that's no way to work, dude. You'll kill yourself. He got the confidence not too long after that to really just put the pencil to the paper and let magic happen. He was kind. He was funny. He was always there to talk. And I've never forgotten this, and I will never forget this. We were on Fantastic Four. The then publisher of the company didn't like what we were doing and asked that I be fired off the book. And without hesitation, Mike said, all right, I'm going to. I didn't have another gig lined up. I had other stuff I could do, but he didn't have other stuff he had lined up. But nonetheless, Mike just said, you know what? Mark's gone, I'm gone. And I will never forget, did never forget during our time together, and will never forget that that's the kind of integrity that man had. He was, again, great to work with. His sense of style was strong. I love the fact that I would call him often. This is the thing. As a comic book writer, you want to be kind to your artists. You don't want to continue to make them ask them to draw things that are insane, that would take them forever and they will hate you. So I remember, if I'm going to do like a baseball stadium in a comic book, I'm going to call the artist ahead of time and say, are you good with this? This is a lot of work. And they always are, but they appreciate the heads up. But Mike, I would call him up and I'd say, listen, this scene is in an auto body shop, which means it's pretty complex. Are you okay with that? And he would just laugh and say, yeah, because I've never drawn that before. That was his answer every time to any time I posed something to him that I thought might be formidable to draw. He dove into it with enthusiasm. An infinite library full of infinite bookcases, great. I've never drawn that before. That'll be fun. That was Mike all over. It's been years, and I don't know. It's August 12th will always suck as the day that Mike passed away. And I am lifting a virtual glass to you, sir. You deserve all the accolades that you're getting now. I only wish that you were around to hear them. And I wish that when you were alive, you would have believed that people had cared this much about your work, because they do.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff Lemire from Toronto. Wishing I could be in Baltimore for the Ringo Awards with all of you, but it's still great to be nominated, and it's obviously a great honor to be included with so many great creators and other great comics, and to be part of an award ceremony that shares the name of the great Mike Wieringo, who was obviously such an inspiration to so many of us. So thanks again, and hopefully we'll be all back in Baltimore together again next year. Thanks.